Okay, so we're diving in, and I'm back with Cheryl, and we decided to just eliminate the introductions because, well, nobody really wants to hear that. We just want to start exploring. This is much more fun.
It
So,
is.
yeah, it is. So I'm happy to dive in with you. We actually just did a little process together, and then Cheryl pulled a few cards. I've written down a few things, and I have to say, um, my frequencies are so high right now. It's like I feel like I'm back. If that
Really?
makes
Is that
sense.
what you're
Yeah,
saying?
I'm
Oh,
back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm
oh,
back.
you're back.
Well, the reality is that sometimes life does throw us challenges, and I the last couple of months have been challenging for me, and I felt my frequency drop, and I really hunkered down on the self-love and focusing on that and what needs to shift and moving through it. And I can finally say, "Oh, okay, this is my high self again. This is I feel that I can tap into these higher frequencies again, which I wasn't able to do." So that's what I mean by I'm back, and the gift in that. So thank you for being patient with me and being my coach in this journey and holding these high frequencies for so many, because that is what you do as a light worker, Cheryl. And um, I just want to explore. So how are you doing? What's coming through for you?
Absolutely. Oh, that sounds like fabulous, fabulous experience with you and your daughters.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that, and as well, I'm just looking forward to being with no expectations and just letting things unfold and just holding the highest frequency I can with gratitude in my heart and just letting life unfold around. It's so true that we've been conditioned. We've been conditioned to live in this low vibrational state. We're constantly being bombarded with fear of whatever, and it's hard to break through and out of those habits. And it does start with awareness and what you're focusing on, and that is more challenging than it seems. And I think by leading through example and showing that this is possible, it can be also a little bit, it can seem very distant, far-fetched, fake. For somebody who is living in a lower state of consciousness, it's hard to believe that it's possible to consistently hold these high vibrations. And I get it. It's foreign, right? And what is different and unfamiliar just doesn't seem possible or real. But more and more of us are showing that it is very possible. It is very real, and what you focus on really does become your reality. And for anybody who's going through something challenging, and yes, your frequency drops, and yes, there are lessons there. And once you learn the lessons, that's where the discipline comes in, and you have to remind yourself, okay, am I going to keep focusing on what I may lose, or can we shift it with this 1111 portal that just happened? I really sat what came through. I really sat in the energy of, if everyone just held a level of consciousness where there is no fear around loss, I have nothing to lose and only to gain. And really sit in this, because hearing it, it's like listening to, I don't know, I'm kind of losing my train of thought a little bit because I'm in such high frequency right now. But I have nothing to lose and only to gain. If we really lived by this mantra, then we would take more inspired steps. And it's that resistance, that fear of loss that is really holding us back. Can you let go of that fear of loss? And the only way to do that is by focusing on everything that you have to gain and just keep taking those inspired steps over and over and over. I'm kind of a little bit all over the place, but
No, no, because well, so if I would go back to just something you said at the very beginning about something that you were going through, and you said that, when people go through tough times and they might fall into that lower vibration, but also know that when you're there, it's okay. Like, and just with the cards that I pulled, with it's time to rest and reflect and rejuvenate. You have to take that time. You can't,
Mhm.
like, it's okay to do that so that you can effectively work through the situations that you're in. So I don't know if it's necessarily such a low vibration, but it's a moment to stop and breathe and just find your focus again. So I think
Mhm.
that's really important. And then skipping forward to like self love is super super important, and conditioning yourself. So a lot of people don't accept the fact that you can love yourself and show love to yourself and do the things that light you up. And I'm guilty of it too. I mean, I preach it every day. I think everybody should practice this, but there are still a lot of things within myself that don't necessarily, and this is about the resistance in the cards, that don't allow me to move forward. And I am moving forward, but like there is some resistance in that because of some of the programming that I've had throughout my whole entire life. And it's funny because, and I'm just going to say this from our last chat, and you were talking about, how you're really going to focus on you and, inside and out. And for me, I'm all about working on the inside, like that peace and that calm and nourishing your body and moving it and all of that. But the outside, to me, that's where I'm stuck. I'm stuck on
Interesting.
focusing on the outside because that's, for me, and already, like, there's all these words that come to mind, like being selfish or not authentic or fake. Like, you use the word fake and all of this. And I'm like, but that is part of our self-love journey, and that's something that I need to work on, because that is a big resistance to me, is the outside, working on the outside, and the outside is just as important, if that is what is gonna light you up, as working on the inside.
I love that. And as you're saying that, literally saw you as this canvas. And if we just see it as that, and that it's malleable and we can play with it and explore different ways expressing ourselves on the outside, and just with our clothes, our makeup, our hair, how we present ourselves to the world, then, and it doesn't have to fit into a box. It can shift and change. You can have a different look every day of the week if you want. And that is fun. And that does make things a little bit more playful and creative. So I love that you brought that through. And I also like that you brought through where does that resistance come from? We have been conditioned to live a certain way, and what does hold us back. And yes, it can come from within, but also when we're giving our power away to someone else. I was actually sitting in um this week, and when it comes to what is winning the lottery. And for myself, I was really sitting in this. For me, winning the lottery is being able to experience a love and a joy that is unconditional and so pure. And I'm lucky because I've had a chance to explore that and experience that. And I want more of that. And And even if it's just short lived, it doesn't matter. It's putting that energy out there, knowing how it feels, and that you can live in those high vibrations. And then I thought, how many of us get a chance to experience that or explore what it is to have that with another partner, and then they turn it away? And really sit in that, because a lot of us refuse things that are good for us. And ask yourself, why am I doing that? Is it coming from fear, or is it coming from outside of ourselves? Because sometimes we are convinced by another, and to explore what that is, perhaps that person's just planting seeds of doubt or fear in you because they're afraid of what that may mean for your relationship. And you see that the snowball effect in that. And then I brought it back to the lottery. So if you were handed a winning lottery ticket, would you give that up because somebody put fear in your heart because, oh, maybe it's not real, maybe you didn't really win, maybe you're going to lose all your friends if you cash that in, you won't be relatable anymore, people are going to use you, whatever story that they're planting? Are you going to give up that opportunity? No. So why do we no so why do we do it with love? Why do we do it with love? That's the big question. Why do we do it with things that are good for us? And let's just start shifting our mindset to saying, yes, I want more love in my life. Yes, this feels good now, and I want to explore more of that. Yes, I had that experience once. I can have it again. That is the mindset that we need to start having. Yes, I have only to gain and nothing to lose. And a loss really isn't a loss, it's just a delay. That's it.
Absolutely. And understanding why you're so resistant to that. Like, what is the reason? There's a million reasons why, but you are your own self and you need to do that reflection. You need to do that inner work to figure it out so that you can embrace it the next time that it shows up. You need to be able to be ready to be like, yes, please, and just bring it all in.
Yeah, and the outcome may not be what you want or what you thought you want, but that's a gift in itself, because at least you're starting to make decisions for yourself. And you can be okay with the outcome because you learn from that experience. And the more you stand in that authenticity and share that message, then it invites other people to do that as well. And that's owning their own decisions, living your life for yourself and not for another or another's expectations, and inviting in people to have that experience with you. Because when you are your truest, happiest, most authentic self, then it's a joy to be around you because you are content and whole and satisfied with yourself.
And every time you take that step and you make that choice to allow yourself to have that experience, yeah, it might not work out the way that you want, but that moment is just so beautiful, or those moments are just so beautiful that if it doesn't quite go, that particular one doesn't go on the path that you think that or that you think that it will, you're going to be more willing to take that chance a second time to follow a different path when it presents itself again. You're going to be confident because you're going to want to have those same feelings. And just recognizing in those moments, what did I learn, or what am I grateful for in this moment? What am I grateful from this whole experience that just happened? Even though it didn't go the way that I wanted to, there are still so many things to be grateful for from that particular experience, so that you can then embrace another one, and then you find so many more other things to be grateful for and show your gratitude. It's a beautiful obstacle course of love. Like it's just beautiful.
I love that you called it an obstacle course because it does feel a little bit like that. You can the players, the scenarios may change, but if you hold the energy for the experience you want to create, so if you want to have that perfect energetically matching partner, if you will, and maybe you do experience that at some point and then something happens and it doesn't work out, but you can still hold that frequency and say, okay, it's not really a loss. It just needs to manifest in another way. And so you get back into that energy, and this is what I want to create. And this is what I have to offer. This is what I'm going to put out into the world. And I'm just going to let the pieces fall, if you will, and see what comes through. But don't allow your fears to come in. And I'm not going to say stop,
Hijack,
because
hijack
what's
you. Fears hijack you, and they throw you off
yes,
course a little.
they do. They
Mhm.
do. And living in awareness is the best way to break through that and recognize, okay, here comes that fear-based energy again, and I don't want to go there anymore. I've already experienced enough of that. At the end of the day, your destiny is yours. And the only person that can get in the way of your destiny is you. That's it.
Absolutely,
That's it. It's so beautiful.
it is beautiful. It's just filled with love.
It is filled with love. So is there anything else that you were exploring this week?
Um, I mean, really, truly, it what is just about finding those moments where you can just be silly. And when I say like, I mean, I love hiking. So I'm just gonna say this because this is so me, but when I was able to do this or allow myself to make this silly choice, it really catapulted me into like a whole other level of energy. So I shared this on my social media, but when I got to go for a long hike on Saturday morning. And honestly, like Friday night was like Christmas to me. I could not wait to go out into the forest because it is definitely my happy place. But I listen to my music and I live in the moment and I actually dance while I'm walking. I dance while I'm hiking through the forest and I don't care who sees me. I'm like, I could be the crazy forest woman. And it doesn't matter to me because I am just filled with so much love and joy and gratitude in those moments that that is how I want to live every moment of my life. But to be able to do that, it takes, you have to get that confidence. But so doing those little things that might seem silly to you, because you're your biggest inner critic. So if you can release that, if you can put yourself in silly situations, where, it's a safe space, because I don't want, I don't want shame attached to any of that or embarrassment or humiliation, whatever, all those negative things, but put yourself in a safe spot where you can just do something so ridiculously crazy and fun and don't judge yourself. Oh my gosh, what a whole other world that you can live if you can reach that level of joy and high vibration. Like, honestly, I was floating through the forest. So, really, like, just and then looking at every moment of every day, like, how can I incorporate something that's really gonna like spark that extra? Because I'm all about extra these days. So I want to be
I love that you're about extra. That's like
right.
pushing the boundaries of what is
Yes.
normal. That is a good thing. I celebrate that. And I'm with you. Sometimes we do need to create a space that is safe so we can explore our silly side and just allow ourselves to be without any judgment, and then push our boundaries and to explore what that is outside of our safe space, and to not care anymore about the external critics nor the inner critics. And that is freeing in itself. And how do you do that? I personally, again, by focusing on the music, by focusing on how it makes me feel. So I am really sitting in that energy and just allow my body to relax in that energy is how I do it. I know you like to go hiking in the woods, and I celebrate you for that. I personally love to walk and just tune into my music, and I also love to drive and do the same thing. It just there's something so much fun about driving and taking different pathways home and changing things up. My daughter actually said, one of my daughters says, I can never remember the way home with you because you're always taking a different road. Because changing things up makes things more exciting, and just that's how I practice listening to my intuition. I'm going to turn right here, left here, or stop here, so that we don't get stuck in these routines. And that's inviting in more change and learning to live in flow with the universe. It's a simple exercise and it seems silly, but it's if you actually think about it, so many of us really do follow that same pathway, or we listen to Google.
Right, right. Just go get lost, honestly. Go get lost and see how much fun it is trying to find your way back because I mean, I'm directionally challenged, so I do it all the time. It's just a story of my life, but I love it because who knows? Like all the things that you find on the way that you would never have seen if you didn't go get lost.
So
Like I
true.
have so many experiences, so many more than most people because I get lost all the time.
It is perfect. I love that. I love that. Again, perspective is everything, and being okay with taking a wrong turn and being okay with making a wrong choice. They're not really wrong. They're just lessons in those experiences. And then you learn from it and then you move on. Okay, next. Thank you, next. Thank you, next.
And then
And
we get to pass it down to our children, those lessons, or to learn that it's okay to be that way, you know? I also went driving with my daughter. She was like, let's go for a drive. She never really asked that, but we went. She's still in the I'm afraid of everything phase, like of
mhm.
being judged and all of those things. But we went and we were in the car for about an hour and a half, just driving wherever. We had the music blaring and she was singing and dancing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love my life right now. And the energy in that car, it was electric. Like there was just so, it's a moment I will never forget. And I think about it and still brings joy to my heart. It's just, I'm so grateful for moments like that that just really keep me feeling alive and that I am on the right path. Like she's
Mhm.
learning. She's just it's gonna she's gonna be able to overcome a lot of things by kind of absorbing some of these lessons.
Yes. Because what hurts you heals you.
Mhm.
What hurts you heals you. So when you feel that zing, that little bit of hurt, instead of resisting it, explore it. Why are you hurting? What is needing nurturing? Do you really need something outside of yourself? No, it's within. And those are big things to learn at a young age, but what a gift is that? What a gift is that? I am so excited for you because you're holding this high frequency and have been for quite some time now. And I want to honor you in that space. And you've done the work. Where I'm holding the excitement I'm tapping into is what's going to unfold for you in this next chapter of your life. I really it's beautiful because that is manifesting power in the highest frequencies. And I've said this before, we're all master manifestors. We're just we're we're manifesting from a lower vibration because the energy we're projecting is the reality that we're creating. So we're just getting more of that. But because you've taken the inspired action to do the work, self reflect, do the inner work, now exploring the outer work, and you still like keep alchemizing that energy into a higher vibration, how that's going to start to spill into your external world is exciting for me to be able to witness in you. Because the
So
more,
exciting.
yes, and we need to celebrate that in another person. And I'm so happy for you. And I know that there's only love and abundance and good things coming for you because that's the energy you're holding. And that's awesome.
Well, and I just want to show my gratitude for like share gratitude for you and being such a beautiful guide along my way and helping me really stay focused, not even intentionally. You've not really ever done it intentionally. It's just, these conversations and our friendship and all of the love that I can feel from you has just really helped me remain focused, and allowed me space to build my confidence in the direction that I wanna go. So I also like just I have so much gratitude and love for you. So thank you for just, being a part of this beautiful life that I get to lead.
I'm getting a little emotional, but not from it's just so much gratitude for the words that you just said. It feels truly like a gift. It's interesting because as an empath, we are ultra sensitive, and to not see that as a weakness. So many people see that as a weakness, but it's actually the greatest gift. I have this There's this blue jay that keeps coming to visit in our backyard, and it's the most vibrant, beautiful blue jay I have ever seen. And today it just sat in it perched itself on the little tree branch and then flew over um, my window, and it spoke to me. And I just like, I started to get overwhelmed with emotion because the message that was in that bird song was just so pure and loving. And I know it's crazy to live like this. It maybe seem weird to people, but to be able to allow love into your heart and let it pour and overflow all around you, it's such a blessing. And I
It
do want to.
absolutely is a blessing. Like there's no other better word for it. I had the same experience when I was out in the forest and my heart just like, oh, it just gets like so full that I can't even contain it anymore. And it's the same thing. I can walk through the forest dancing and crying all at the same time because I am just filled with so many emotions of, but it just is, it's beyond me. Like it is like it I can't contain it, and I don't and I still have that feel like I need to control it, but when I'm out there, I'm just like, "Just let it go. Just let it go," and then you just get so it's like you're floating. It is just the most beautiful I wish everybody could just experience those moments in their lives. Like, it's just there's no other way to say, like, it's just pure bliss for me.
It is
Pure bliss.
bliss. And it is possible, and more people will experience
Mm.
it because we are doing it. And we're talking about it and we're saying, yes, this is real. Yes, this is possible. I still remember the first time I tapped into that frequency of that highest vibration of love that I've personally experienced. And it was so pure, so overwhelming, so expansive. Like you just saw perfection in everything. I can still tap into it every once in a while. If I want to go there, I can. But the resistance in that is that it it's hard to anchor that in and be relatable to other people because it's just so it's such a different frequency than what people are
Oh, it
holding.
is.
And
It makes a lot of people uncomfortable,
it
actually.
does. It does. And so that's where the journey comes in. We can't go from A to Z. We need to take the steps towards it. We need to give our bodies time to alchemize and shift and transform into what they're going to become. We need to allow our thoughts also to shift and keep up leveling into a higher way of thinking. And until we transmute all that fear into that love based way of thinking. And that is a process. And so I just remember when I was sitting in that like pure blissful love, that highest, and thinking to myself, how am I going to integrate this into the world? Like, really, like nobody's going to get me. And then what came through was, it's okay.
Because it's gonna be in moments. It's
Yeah.
not going to be consistently there. People are gonna experience through moments with you. Beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I know that we talk sometimes, even just as we're speaking about it, and we talk a lot about doing the inner work and alchemizing those, those fears and shifting those mindsets. It does seem daunting. It does seem sometimes impossible for some people, but it could be done. And we talked a little bit about this last week, but it could still be done through fun, doing fun things and play and being silly. And it doesn't have to be like this deep, dark, dirty work that we're doing. It could be like laughter and light and fun as you're shifting. It doesn't have to necessarily be, there are moments that you're going to have to acknowledge and they're going to be difficult to work through, but you can still incorporate a lot of light and love and fun and play into that process to help you just keep moving forward.
It's so true. And one way that we can do that and find more playfulness, if you will, in the inner work is by disassociating ourselves from ourselves. So it's like looking at ourselves from our high self and looking at the ego and say, "Oh, look at you, Leanne. You're going into victim again." And then ask yourself, "Okay, why did you do that? Do you really need to do that?" No. And then explore what is the message behind that and shifting your identity into something of a higher vibration. You are not a victim, but rather a student of a situation, and you're here to master a lesson, and that's it. And then you can shift out of it because you have only to gain, nothing to lose when you see life as just this big school ground of lessons. And then it'll shift into blessings because
Mm.
you'll just be living and being instead of trying to be
And
something.
experiencing. Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah. I know that you fall into victimhood, as you said. For me, it's judgment because I think I've been surrounded by so much judgment. And I had an experience with my daughter last night. She doesn't know about this because this was all an internal thing between last night and this morning. But it was about judgment. And so she was doing her hair and makeup at like 9 o'clock last night. And I was like, I went up to her, I'm like, what are you doing? You're going to bed. Why are you doing this right now? But then, that was my initial reaction. And then this morning, I was thinking about it and I'm like, gosh, that was just first off, it's just very harsh. I don't know. I was like immediately judgmental about like that her doing her makeup at 9 o'clock at night. But I was thinking about it when I was looking at the situation. I'm like, what? It's because I was surrounded by all of that growing up. Like, I remember I have clear memories, like, of, like, being at camp and doing my makeup, and, like, my family were like, "Why are you putting your makeup on?" I'm like, "'Cause I want to." But, it was just constantly surrounded by that, and then when I said it to my daughter, I was like, "Whoa, that was my younger self
Mm.
trying to, like, you know trying to come out," and it was just, like, all of that programming from, like, "You can't do this, you can't do this, why are you doing that?" kind of, like, growing up, and this morning, I was like, "Wow, you be you, like, you go be you, if that brought you joy, you go and do it," like, and again, because it's, like, that outer thing that I really struggle with, like, that, outer self-love thing, but if so I'm like, "You go be you," I'm like, "Enjoy," you know? If you wanna do your makeup at 9 o'clock at night, have at it, It's great. It's bringing you happiness, perfect.
That story is a perfect example of what I call being a generational curse breaker. And it's just recognizing the patterns that we have adopted from whomever. And often judgment is one of those. And saying to ourselves, I am recognizing that I am mirroring a behavior that was passed on to me, and I am not going to do that anymore. It doesn't resonate with me. I do not want to pass along this pattern to the next generation. So it stops with me, and I'm going to do things differently. That is hard work to do. But being aware and saying, nope, I'm not going to do this. This is not serving me. You go do you. I'm going to do me. And there's no judgment here. I send you love because you are mirroring a pattern that was imprinted on you. And that is not your fault. It's no one's fault. We are just a product of the environments that we were brought up in. And but once we recognize that there is this pattern that starts to develop, then knowing that we have the power to shift that, that is breaking generational. I don't want to say curses because it's not really a curse. If you know what's happening once you're aware. So just breaking generational patterns, if you will, or patterning.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah, my first reaction, that's out of my control. I can't control my first reaction. Like, that was just where my brain went. But as I'm saying it, I'm like asking all the questions, like, where is this coming from? Why am I being so judgmental to her? Like, what does this even have to do with me? Like, none of like asking all the questions so that I can release. Like, I don't like the feeling of judgment. I don't like that feeling of it just, like it was just all of a sudden my whole vibe just went, like, into like, down as I was saying to her, "Why are you doing that?" in such a like, "Who is that person now? That's not me." But, but then acknowledging it and then being able to apologize in those moments and recognizing, like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know where that came from, but that's gonna go back, and I'm gonna, like, push those patterns, like, out of me so that I can continue going on this direction." But asking those questions in the moment and recognizing it if you hurt somebody's feelings, or if you maybe made somebody feel uncomfortable in that moment because of something that you did, acknowledge it, and that will help you do your own inner work. Like, acknowledge it to that person. I'm like, wow, I don't know where that came from. I have no idea. Well, I don't want to discuss it with you. I got to do it on my own.
Right. Oh, I love that you said that because you just brought me back to when I was a little girl. I remember my parents going out for a date, and I dipped into my mom's makeup, and I I went to
Amazing
town
tip.
and
Yeah, I
started
want
to
a photo of that.
I don't it's a mental photo. And, unfortunately, I think I did ruin my mom's makeup a little bit, but, so I was kind of I felt really bad about having, ruined her makeup, because I was a kid. I didn't know what I was doing. And then flash forward, my one daughter decides, well, she likes to play with makeup as well, shocker. And sometimes she'll come down with just some crazy creative experiments on her face, and I'm all for it. But because I'm conditioned from my experience, I just say, okay, go for it, have fun, just clean up your mess. and and so they have their makeup that they can play with that's not as expensive, and just allow themselves to have that experience and be creative and playful, and explore what that is, and it really does become a bonding experience afterwards. So do you have any creative fun things that you're planning on doing for the holidays?
Oh my goodness. I sadly have not allowed myself to think about that far ahead because I work in an industry where it's just really crazy. So I
Right,
just have to,
right.
I basically go into survival mode for the next 6 weeks of my.
That's right, that's right. Your industry is, yes,
Mhm.
correct, correct.
So, I mean, I'm looking, it's just for me, it's really just about family getting together. One of my favorite things, and this seems so silly, is when my whole family is here and they're in the living room and I'm in the kitchen doing something and I can hear them all chatting and laughing and you could just feel the love. I like there's times where I just start crying in the kitchen. I'm not even a part
Mm.
of the conversation, but I just am filled with so much happiness that that's what I'm looking forward to having because it just brings me it just fills me right back up, like.
Yes, it's gratitude for the people that are in your life, gratitude for the love that is all around you, gratitude to have a family to be able to celebrate the holidays
Oh,
with.
man.
And yes, sometimes it can get heated and fiery, and seeing the gratitude in that, because if you didn't have those people there, well, then it would be a different experience. And for those who are alone, don't see that as a loss. As somebody who has been put in situations where I've felt alone and isolated, but to see that also as a gift. It's a chance to love yourself more, to do things that feed your soul, that light you up. Maybe it's just taking a beautiful bath and listening to some soft music, or it doesn't matter what your situation is, but if you can hold gratitude in your heart for just being alive and to have another day, then that is a gift in itself.
Absolutely. And what
And
about yourself?
well, to
What
throw a little
fun
bit of
things?
fun, because our Christmas is going to be a little bit different this year. And so I proposed to my daughters, let's all get our nails done, because we were thinking of doing like a Secret Santa thing, and we're not really big into the gift giving thing in my side of the family, but I mentioned to the girls, and it's hard to do with 3 people because it's easy to figure out who has who, right? Secret Santa. So, what I proposed, which I think we're gonna explore, is that we're gonna draw names so everybody knows who one another has, and we're gonna go get our nails done, but the person that you pick, that person gets to pick the nail design for the holidays. So, it's like taking yourself out of it, because I'm so like, I always get the classic same look for my nails, and so I'm putting myself out of my traditional choices and allowing a little bit of playfulness, and knowing that it came from one of them is kind of fun as well. So we'll see what we come up with, but it's a bonding, it's the experience really. It's not even about the nails.
All about experiences.
It's about the experience, and just giving them space to give as well and participate in the creative process, so that it's not always coming from one person, that we're all creating it together. That's where the fun comes in.
Absolutely. Oh, that sounds like fabulous, fabulous experience with you and your daughters.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that, and as well, I'm just looking forward to being with no expectations and just letting things unfold and just holding the highest frequency I can with gratitude in my heart and just letting life unfold around me and being able to witness the magic of it all. That is the intention that I'm holding for the holidays. And that I hug as many people as I can and that they feel my energy and that they feel my love and that they see the gratitude in my eyes and that they see my sincerest wish for them to feel joy and love in their hearts. And that's what I want more than anything. And I'm gonna create that because that's easy to create if you hold that intention. Anybody can create that.
Absolutely. 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 And I am so happy you're back. Welcome, hi, Bobby in. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I think this is a good place to end the call. I really, really appreciate you, Cheryl. And this was fun. And until next time.
Until next time.